Multiple CEOs told President Trump the economy was the strongest they'd ever seen. They've seen it in 8 years, and that if the White House solved the health issues, the economy would solve itself. Hey everyone, we are here. It is March 12th, around 12:30 p.m. Pacific. The reason the timing is important is because things are changing so rapidly in the face of coronavirus. I want the timestamp should be important here. The reason I'm creating these videos, by the way, is because I want there to be a historical record of how business owners, in particular me, how we are affected and moving forward and points of view. And I think in some of these cases I'll be historically right. I want there to be a record that I'm historically right about some of these things that are happening. And if I'm wrong, I will want that record too. But I think it's important for there to be a record of points of view on this. So we'll get started. The first few things are, let's take a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average. The DJIA is currently trading around 21,557, which is down from about 3 weeks ago where it was at 29,000. So it's over 20% drop in the Dow Jones Industrial Average, resulting in billions of dollars that have been wiped off valuations of big companies. So that's one challenge. Just to put it in perspective, April of 2009. This was right in the middle of recession, the Great Recession. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was about 7,700, so 7,700. So we're still dramatically higher than we were at the depths of the valley of the Dow Jones and the Great Recession. I just want things to be perspective, because I think people, I don't know for sure, but it seems like people are panicking. There have been fights that have been breaking out at various places, supermarkets, Walmarts, Costco's. It's just not, I think the environment, people are scared, and I think we should be cautious and vigilant, but I don't think we need to be fighting each other. It seems like a big problem. I've been reading a series of tweets by a woman named Kayla Tausch, KaylatauschE. She's a Washington correspondent for CNBC, and she had this series of tweets that I liked. Multiple CEOs told President Trump, and this was about a day ago now, 22 hours ago. Multiple CEOs told President Trump the economy was the strongest they'd ever seen. They've seen it in 8 years, and that if the White House solved the health issues, the economy would solve itself. Now, say what you will about Trump's handling of this coronavirus situation. This is actually a really good sign. The entire economy is based on trust and perception. The stock market is based on trust and perception. And just to give you an example of some people, the treasury yield for bonds is about 0.75, meaning that in 10 years, if I buy a bond now, 10 years from now, I won't have $1. I'll have 75 cents. And this is an indicator of some elements of fear. But I think that various CEOs who are saying that the economy is strong is a good sign. The challenge, I think, is cash flow and liquidity. What I mean by that is there are definitely a lot of companies who I think are going to go out of business. There are a lot of employees who are about to be laid off, and this came to me when I was watching Andrew Cuomo earlier today, talking about the state of New York, just kind of a long press conference, and he was talking about the budget for unemployment insurance, and he said he didn't say these exact words, but the basic idea was that's out the window now. Like, we don't know how much it's going to cost for unemployment insurance to cover people who are in fact going to get laid off because of this coronavirus. And I think people get laid off because of the coronavirus because consumer spending slows down, a variety, billions and possibly trillions of dollars of economic activity gets bogged down, travel stops, conferences stop, NBA has paused their season, NCAA has asked that for the March Madness tournament that only select family members, a few family members will be in the stands, and most of the games will be played and the games will be played without a big audience of fans. And these are challenges, right? Like, what do you do in this case? NHL has paused their season. MLB is pausing their season or pushing it back, which I'm personally grateful that they paused their season, because I have half-season Dodgers tickets, and boy, do I want to go to those Dodger games. As one of our clients said today, baseball season is my Christmas. And that's great because it lasts a long time. I'm just reading a tweet from Billboard recognizing national concerns over the spread of coronavirus pandemic. The Live Nation is instructing its touring shows to prepare to return home. So basically, people are going to stop, take a moment, and maybe not officially quarantine, but definitely we're not going to be going places. So the economic activity is going to slow down dramatically. Think about the live show business. All the people, all the setup crew, the sound equipment, these are individuals who are not, a lot of them are not employees, they're actually contractors. So these individuals are stuck. Restaurants, any supplies to restaurants, those all get impacted. Travel, hotels, tourism, cruise ships, Disneyland. I mean, people are just not going to go places, and they're going to stock up on food. And we're starting to see this happen. Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson have been diagnosed with coronavirus, which is not good. Places around the U.S., including Oregon, are banning gatherings of more than 250 people. Google and Facebook are banning ads on face masks as coronavirus spreads, and that's from Search Engine Journal. So that's good. I think the general ethos here is that we have to prepare for a moment where online becomes the main way that we communicate. Digital media, Zoom, Slack, videos, podcasts, great opportunity for anyone with an idea, anyone who wants to communicate to a large group of people. Sure, you lose serendipitous conversations, but you gain in safety, and you sort of are operating within the framework that the world is operating with now. It's important to note about the interconnectedness of our world. You know, there's a lot of unfortunate divisiveness in our country right now, and we don't have time for divisiveness. And I'll give you an example of this. And this is according to the New York Times. Chinese pharmaceutical companies have supplied more than 90% of U.S. antibiotics, vitamin C, ibuprofen, hydrocortisone. China is known as the world's factory for car parts, toys, and electronics, but it's also churning out much of the penicillin, antibiotics, and pain medications used across the globe, as well as surgical masks and medical devices. So think about that. Anyone with a chronic disease, the elderly, anyone who wants to take a pain reliever, we are all relying on China. I think we're going to see a moment in the U.S. where we're going to start to be more reliant and more focused on manufacturing those elements, those products ourselves, so that we don't have to rely on a foreign country. But the reality of it is, the basic economics show that countries that focus on doing the things that they're best at benefit, and when there's trade, when there's allowable trade, we really have the ability to benefit, because the countries that are doing the thing that they're best at can do it more efficiently, more effectively, and turn a profit. That's the sort of fundamental nature of trade and economics in the global world. So this is another example of the fact that we are much closer to each other globally than I think a lot of people realize. So I think the outlook for the next month is this. Supply chain companies that we've never heard of, who are operating on a very tight cash flow or very small margins, are likely to have some financial difficulties. There's a potential for a relaxation of payroll taxes, or just no payroll taxes for the rest of the year. Travel from Europe has been stopped, at least for a certain period of time. There's a lot of, here's the other thing that I've heard no one talk about yet. How much of the information that we are getting on Twitter and Facebook is, for lack of a better term, fake news? when I mean fake news, I don't mean that it's politically misaligned with someone's political means. What I mean is it's wrong, it lies, it's not true. People are posting a lot of information on Facebook about a certain test that you can do with yourself to figure out if you hold your breath, and if you hold your breath a few times, for 10 seconds, and you don't cough or you don't feel any tightness in your chest, you probably don't have coronavirus. Okay, cool. And it seems to come from a Stanford doctor, but I think that might not be true. I think that's just a whole lot of baloney. The point here is we are in a moment where I think there's going to be some misinformation being spread. No one's talking about Russia right now, by the way. No one's talking about the spread of information coming from Russia. There's no evidence that Russia is impacting the way that the United States is communicating. But just judging from a lot of the things that have happened over the last few years, I wonder if 3 and 6 months from now we'll be looking back at this saying, oh yeah, there has been massive amounts of misinformation or trolling by various countries that maybe were purposely sharing information that is incorrect. I think for the next month we really need to focus in on being prepared, quarantining, and accepting that it's going to be a little bit of a malaise, but I think over the next 6 months we will return to a good steady economic clip. The key point here is, and I'm trying to find the article, that the key point for the coronavirus is to get to a point where we are lowering the number of new infections a day. And that really means that one person who is infected with coronavirus is currently infecting anywhere between 2 and 6 additional people, so it spreads exponentially. When we get to a point where coronavirus is infecting less than one person on average, that's when we start to get a hold on coronavirus. So let's hope for the best. Prepare. Economics are going to be slow over the next month, and I hope you find something in here helpful. All right, talk to you soon.